Chapter 16. Are you comfortable with me? Scene 1. Sophie woke up easily with no annoying alarms screaming at her. Just a gentle, smooth transition into consciousness. Then it registered. 2 years had passed since she and Ryan made that wild commitment, took that leap of faith, and signed up for this high-octane lifestyle, a passionate game of love and loyalty. She let out a deep breath, feeling the burden of last year's struggles coming down on her like a heavy-ass backpack. She still carried the guilt of forgetting their first anniversary, a misstep that had stung her more than she'd let on. When she reached out to the empty space beside her, Sophie realized that Ryan's side of the bed was cold, thanks to her wife's new morning routine. Lately, Ryan had been rising earlier than usual, claiming she needed an hour to herself each morning to gather her thoughts over a cup of tea and silence in the garden. Sophie wondered if this new habit was a reflection of the strain in their relationship, a moment of peace, away from the unspoken issues putting stress on their relationship. They had briefly addressed the elephant in the room, Angelique. Sophie knew she had been an insensitive ass, her jealousy and insecurities getting the best of her. Ryan hadn't forgiven her easily, making her work to earn back the trust. It was a punishment she had accepted willingly, knowing she had hurt the woman she loved more than anything. Flashback. 2 days after Columbia. It was mostly silent except for the occasional rustle of Ryan's clothes as she moved around the bedroom, purposely ignoring Sophie's presence. Sophie leaned against their dresser, watching her wife with frustration. She knew she had messed up, but she also knew that Ryan's walls were up, and breaking through them would be no easy feat. "Rye, can we talk?" Ryan didn't look up from the suitcase she was finally unpacking. She was exhausted when they returned home the other night and just left her luggage untouched. "I think you said enough on the plane, don't you think?" Sophie winced at the memory of their heated argument. "I know I was out of line. I shouldn't have questioned your feelings about Angelique's death. I was scared." "Of what?" At this, Ryan finally looked up at her. "Scared of what, Sophie? That she was going to come back from the dead and of losing you." Sophie took her off and to a step closer, her hands twisting nervously. "Of not being enough for you." Seeing her there, the history, it brought up all these insecurities I didn't even know I had. I'm normally not like this. "Soph, I told you that there was not a thing for you to worry about. Yes, there was history. Yes, there was a past. But it was also some of the worst memories of my life. I know, I do, but in the moment, all I could see was the way she looked at you, the way she talked about your connection, then your emotions after she died. And I lost my cool." Moving closer, Sophie reached for Ryan's hand, relieved when she didn't pull away. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry for not trusting in us. In the strength of our love, I'm sorry for not being there for you when you needed me." Ryan's fingers tightened around hers, a silent acceptance of her apology. But there was still a distance in her eyes, a reservation that Sophie didn't want to comment on. "I appreciate you saying that, Soph. I really do, but it's going to take some time for me to fully forgive and move past this. The things you said, the way you looked at me, it hurt. A lot." "I know." Sophie nodded, blinking back tears. "And I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I love you like my life depends on it." "I love you too." They came together in a hug, holding each other tight. That night, Sophie went out of her way to show Ryan how much she cared. She cooked her favorite meal for lunch, helped her out with the gardening, and even surprised Ryan with much-needed massage at a dance spa downtown. They made love when Ryan returned from her massage, and it was different, more desperate, more intense, as if they were both trying to prove something. Afterwards, they held each other close, but the air was still thick with unvoiced thoughts. End flashback. As they worked to mend the cracks, Sophie felt that something was still off kilter. prior to it all. They had been in sync for over a year, their desires and goals aligned. Now it felt like they were drifting apart, that rock-solid connection they'd built together starting to chafe at the edges. The family question was still a major issue. Sophie was all about making that happen, wanting a little one as a living, breathing symbol of their love. Ryan, though she had her reservations, her own rocky upbringing, made her hesitant and uncertain whenever the topic came up. Then there were new friendships, secret text messages, and little white lies that Sophie tried to brush off as harmless. Deep down, she knew that her blow-up about Angelique Marquis and even Alice had been a manifestation of her own insecurities, a desperate attempt to cling to the control she felt, slipping through her fingers. Closing her eyes, she drew in a long breath, fighting to quiet the storm of second guesses fuming inside her head. Maybe this was just the natural ebb and flow of marriage, the inevitable challenges that came with building a life together. They had weathered worse storms, hadn't they? At least for now, there hadn't been an argument about any of this for a while, so she was going to ride that high. Ready to face the day, Sophie swung her legs over the side of the bed and searched for her slippers. As she padded towards their ensuite, the scent of bacon hovered through the air. She heard a muffled curse followed by a clatter of pans. "Ouch, shit!" Ryan called out from the kitchen. Sophie made her way to the closet, retrieving the gift she had carefully chosen for Ryan. After a quick stop in the bathroom, she descended the stairs, still wearing her gray silk pajamas. The house was grooving to old-school neo-soul jams while the pancakes sizzled and popped on the skillet. She paused in the doorway, taking a moment to admire her wife. Ryan was lost in her own world, hips rocking to the music as she flipped pancakes with ease. It was a sight that made her soul do little happy dances at the adorable display before her. Just one of the countless reasons she was head over heels. She never knew it was possible to love someone this deeply, this completely. Despite the challenges they had faced, the arguments and misunderstandings, none of it mattered anymore. Ryan remained the center of Sophie's universe. She was the one who could make the darkest days bearable, who could ignite a spark of joy with a single smile. She knew without a doubt that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with this incredible woman, no matter what obstacles were in their way. This is exactly where Sophie was meant to be, and she thanked the universe every day for bringing Ryan into her life. Ryan turned off the stove, stacking the last pancake on a plate. Sophie seized the opportunity, placing her gift on the counter and wrapping her arms around the chef's waist from behind. She pressed a soft kiss behind Ryan's ear, whispering, "Good morning, my love. Happy anniversary." Ryan spun around, melting into her lover's passionate kiss. The intensity built, and soon she was sitting on the kitchen island, legs entwined with Sophie's. Her lips explored the beautiful skin of Ryan's neck, leaving a pattern of love bites that would linger as sweet reminders. They lost themselves in each other, and Sophie knew that if they kept going like that, they'd end up skipping breakfast altogether. Regretfully, she broke off the steamy makeout session, their foreheads still touching as they caught their breath. It smells amazing in here." "I made your favorites." Sophie nipped at Ryan's bottom lip. "You know the taste of you is my favorite thing in the world." "Is it now?" Sophie hummed, emphasizing her words with another kiss. "These lips." She caught Ryan's mouth once more. "And these lips, too." Her hand slid between Ryan's legs, caressing her through the seat of her leggings. Ryan smirked, trapping the offered hand between her thighs. "You want to play? Or do you want your gift and for us to eat breakfast?" "I like the sound of that, but..." Sophie glanced down meaningfully. "I wouldn't mind if you left my hand here all day if you want." A grin spread across Ryan's face as she rolled her eyes. She opened her legs, gently nudging Sophie away before hopping down from the counter. With a wink, she jogged into the living room, returning moments later with a medium-sized white box decorated with a blue bow. "Happy second anniversary to the love of my life." She handed the box to Sophie. Planting a quick one on Ryan's lips, Sophie brought the box over to the kitchen island. After yanking off a blue ribbon, she lifted the lid and pulled back the tissue, her jaw dropping about the contents. Inside the box were 3 vinyl records, not just any records, but her holy trinity of Jay-Z albums, Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, and the Black Album. Each one was signed at the edge in cursive script. "To my #1 fan, Sophie. Love, Hav." No way, no freaking way. She held the autographed vinyls up like they were made of solid gold. A big smile spread across Ryan's face, loving how her girl was tripping over the surprise. "I have my ways. Remember that Saturday about a month ago when I went out of town for the day? Well, I went to a Rock Nation dinner after putting myself," Ryan coughed lightly, murmuring hacking under her breath, "on the guest list. Had to do a little schmoozing to get him to sign, but how could he resist my charm? I told him we were the real Bonnie and Clyde, and he and Beyonce ain't have nothing on us." She laughed, shaking her head. "Of course, I said that out of Queen Bey's earshot." Sophie's mind recalled the petty argument they'd had when Ryan returned from her mysterious trip. It hit her how much her wife had to move and shake to make that gift happen, and she was slammed with a wave of regret for even striking up a fight. "I don't know what to say. This is amazing. You know me so well, baby." She pulled Ryan into a hug, murmuring against her neck, "What did I do to deserve you?" "You became a spy and joined Black Bat." "Shut up," Sophie chuckled, pretending to push Ryan away before reeling her back in for another lip lock. She put her whole heart into it to show how thankful she was. "No, seriously, this is probably the best gift I've ever gotten. Seriously. Yeah. The trouble you went through to get it, me bitching about you leaving. I'm just grateful. Thank you, Rye." Ryan's eyes lingered on Sophie's features, taking in every detail that had gone unnoticed for weeks. That strain hanging over their heads for too long? Gone. Instead, they were feeling each other again. That mutual understanding clicking back into place. "You're welcome, baby. I love you." "I love you too. Always." Sophie then turned around and grabbed her small gift box for Ryan. It was a black suede long jewelry box, elegant in its simplicity. Ryan accepted it with a smile, her fingers tracing the material before she opened the lid. Inside, on a bed of velvet, was a gold necklace with a pendant. Upon closer inspection, Ryan realized the pendant was an engraved picture of Mama Cora. Her eyes snapped up to meet Sophie's. "Really?" "I know how much she means to you, Rye, and I know she'd be so proud of the woman you've become. I wish I could have met her, but I feel like she's watching over both of us. Every day, I thank her for helping shape the amazing woman I'm lucky enough to call my wife." Ryan blinked rapidly to hold back the tears threatening to spill. Mama Cora would have loved Sophie and would have been over the moon to see her daughter so happy and loved. "You want me to help you put it on?" Sophie came closer, her hands coming up to cup her face. Ryan simply nodded, struggling to find her voice, and allowed Sophie to reach her neck. Once finished, Sophie pressed a soft kiss to the nape of her neck, remaining there for a moment before stepping back. Ryan turned to face her, just staring up into her eyes silently. She had been so guarded lately, still reeling from the emotional fallout of their last mission, confronting Angelique, watching her fall to her death. It had messed her up more than she thought it would, and Sophie didn't make it easier with her accusations. She knew she'd been pulling away, rightfully so, because her wife could be so damn callous sometimes. But the truth was, she was just hurting them both in the process. Looking at Sophie now, Ryan could feel all that fading away. The love she had for this woman was unlike anything she'd ever known. And even when things got tough, even when they weren't on the same page, that love never wavered. It was the one constant in her life, the one thing she knew she could always count on. At that moment, all she could do was drink her in. "Sometimes I look at you and I can't believe you're real," Ryan confessed. "Seeing my reflection in your eyes, it's like looking into my own soul, but better. Damn, I just want to dive in and never come up for air." Well, look at you, the next Maya Angelou over here. "I'm dead serious, Soph. You're fucking perfect." The humor drained from Sophie's expression. "I'm not, Rye. You say that all the time, but I'm so far from perfect. You're perfect to me, baby. Always have been and always will be. My other half, my soulmate, my everything. You know I'm the one who was supposed to be sweeping you off your feet with my charm and wit, right? But here you are, being all smooth and romantic. I don't stand a chance." Sophie pulled Ryan against her again. "You, my love, are God's greatest creation, and I plan to spend the rest of my life worshiping every inch of their masterpiece." Her wife's declaration almost made Ryan orgasm right then and there. It was the most beautiful thing anyone had ever said to her. She knew that she needed Sophie, needed to feel her skin on hers, needed to lose herself in her completely. "Okay, new plan," she declared roughly. "Let's go have some fun, then we can eat real food later." "See, I knew you'd come to your senses eventually." Hand in hand, they raced towards the bedroom. Laughter and playful shouts throughout the house. Everything else was second fiddle as they got reacquainted on a deep level, mind, body, and soul knotted up tight. An hour later, tangled in the sheets, they munched on cold bacon and pancakes. But the peaceful moment was interrupted by Ryan's phone's insistent vibrating. With a groan, she reached over to the nightstand, swiping to view the message. "It's from Luke?" "What's it say?" Sophie asked, around a mouthful of pancakes. "Happy second anniversary, agents." "Aw, that's actually kinda sweet of him." Sophie leaned over, peering at the screen, and read out loud the rest of the message. "Be ready to board a plane at 17 o'clock for your next assignment." Ryan nearly choked on her bacon, bolting upright in bed. "What? I thought we had some time off. I'm still recovering from the clusterfuck in Colombia. The details are vague as hell. I don't even know where this place is supposed to be." With a dramatic groan, Ryan flopped back onto the pillows, her arm flung over her eyes. Fucking typical. Can't even give us a full day to celebrate our anniversary. Sophie peeped over at her wife. "Baby, I love you with everything I got. But if you get crumbs in this bed after I just changed the sheets, I swear to God." Her threat was cut off by a well-aimed pillow smacking her in the face, followed by a "shut up." Scene 2. Rub Al Khali, Saudi Arabia. The day was winding down, the sun dipping low, and the endless dunes of the Rub Al Khali were in shades of orange and lavender. Ryan and Sophie hopped off their camels, their feet instantly sinking into the sand as they took in the scene. A falcon's cry was heard from above, cutting through the eerie quietness. They had come to this remote corner of Saudi Arabia, posing as new recruits, seeking enlightenment from a mysterious cult that had taken root in the heart of the desert. But beneath their facades, Ryan and Sophie harbored a deeper purpose: to uncover the truth behind the cult's suspicious activities and bring their unprincipled plans to light. Damn, it's hot as balls out here. Ryan wiped the sweat from her brow. Remind me again why we couldn't take down a cult somewhere where it's just 70 degrees with a nice breeze. Because, Rye. The bad guys always pick the most dramatic locations. It's like Villain 101. Ryan laughed under her breath, as she readjusted the straps of her bag, settling it more comfortably against her back. Right. Guess I should have paid more attention to that handbook. Up ahead was the cult's camp, a scattered mess of bleached tents and broken-down shelters, unsteady in the intense desert heat. A woman emerged from the largest tent, her hazel green eyes sharp even from a distance. She moved with a fluid grace, her long robe rolling behind her. Welcome, my children. I am Dewey, and you have taken the first step towards true enlightenment. The Wilders offered their most convincing smiles, bowing their heads in respect. Thank you for having us, Sophie said, tone laced with just the right amount of awe. We've been searching for a path to inner peace for so long. And you shall find it here, my dear. Amidst the tranquil embrace of nature, we seek to unravel the mysteries of the universe and unlock the true potential within each of us. She gestured towards the compound, her eyes with a passion that seemed to border on the fanatical. Our community is on the cusp of a great awakening, a transformation that will reshape our existence. The grand plans we have set in motion on the horizon will soon come to fruition. And you, my dears, will have a critical part in it. Ryan and Sophie were confused, yet they maintained their composure, playing along with the charade as they followed their cryptic host deeper into the heart of the compound. As they walked, Dewey continued her monologue. Here we shed the shackles of the material world and embrace the true essence of our being. Ryan's eyes darted around, taking in the high-tech equipment that seemed unsuitably out of place amidst the rustic surroundings. Solar panels shined in the sun. Satellite dishes poked out from behind the tents, their metallic forms glittering with a cold, alien precision. Dewey noticed Ryan's wandering gaze and smiled enigmatically. Ah, I see you have noticed our little paradox. In our pursuit of enlightenment, we do not shun the tools of the modern world. Rather, we embrace them, bending them to our will in service of a higher purpose. For what is technology but an extension of the human mind, a manifestation of our collective consciousness? They approached a cluster of tents that seemed to serve as living quarters. Dewey paused and turned to face them, her eyes boring into their souls with intensity. You will find everything you need here. It's not a lot, but remember, material possessions are a distraction. A witty clapback about the contrast of technology that was missing in their tent was right there, but Ryan held it in. Of course, we're here to shed our worldly burdens. Very well. Rest. For tomorrow, your true journey begins. A journey that will test the very limits of your being and challenge everything you thought you knew about yourselves and the world around you. Dewey checked them out, looking them over carefully. With a final nod of approval, she dipped out of the tent, abandoning them to their own company. The moment the flap closed behind her, Ryan let out a low whistle. Well, she certainly got the creepy cult leader vibe down pat, and she looks like a Kardashian sister while doing it. Sophie pulled out her device, checking for any new intel from headquarters. Luke said the cult is suspected of engaging in some seriously shady mess, but we don't have all the details yet. Do we ever? Guess we'll just have to keep our eyes and ears open, see what we can dig up. Remember what Dewey said during her welcome speech? Something about grand plans on the horizon. Yeah, that was cryptic as hell. What do you think she meant? I don't know, Sophie admitted. But whatever it is, I've got a feeling it's nothing good. Nightfall hit, and the desert turned pitch black. But it was the chanting echoing from who knows where that really set the tone for whatever twisted shit was waiting for them ahead. Scene 3. Rise and shine, my children. Dewey's voice cut the peaceful morning silence. The time for your initiation has come. Ryan groaned, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She turned to Sophie, who was already sitting up on her cot, looking as groggy as she felt. Is it just me, or does this feel like the worst hangover ever? Considering we haven't had a drop of alcohol, I'd say it's just you." They dressed quickly in the robes left for them, the fabric light and airy. As they stepped out into the desert sun, they were greeted by a heap of similarly dressed figures, all moving toward the compound's center. The ceremony was held in a large open-air pavilion. Incense burned in ornate brass censers. Ryan and Sophie took their places among the other recruits, exchanging anxious glances as Dewey took the stage. "Brothers and sisters," Dewey began, her arms outstretched. "You have come to us seeking knowledge, yearning to be part of something greater than yourselves. Today, you take the first step on that sacred journey." While she spoke, disciples moved through the crowd, distributing small clay cups filled with a green liquid. Ryan eyed hers suspiciously, leaning in to whisper to Sophie. $10 says this ain't wheatgrass juice. Bottoms up, I guess." They drank it simultaneously, but the bitter, spicy taste burned their throats. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the world began shifting. The colors became more loud, and the sounds surrounding them were more intense. Ryan watched in fascination as the patterns on her robe seemed to swirl and dance. "Whoa," she breathed. "This is some next-level shit. I need to take a sample for my garden." Sophie didn't respond. She was staring at her hands as if she'd never seen her fingers before. Around them, the other recruits were similarly entranced, some laughing, others crying openly. Dewey's voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Let the divine energy flow through you. Let it strip away the illusions of the material world and show you the truth." What they perceived as truth was a psychedelic collage of sights and sensations. Ryan's surroundings transformed into a vast, desolate desert, and the heavens above were a rainbow spiral of colors. Sophie was there too, her body shape-shifting. Their eyes connected on a level that transcended words. The world around them became an obscure blur, and it was just the two of them. Their innermost selves revealed in the wake of a life-changing revelation they were about to experience. Ryan felt a sudden, overwhelming urge to connect with her wife. It was like a physical pull, a need to share something deep and profound. "Listen," she scooted closer. "I know this sounds crazy, but I just got this feeling like there's something I need to tell you. I don't even know what it is or why, but it's like it's the most important thing in the world right now." Sophie cradled Ryan's cheeks, her thumb gently grazing smooth brown skin. "I know. I feel it too. Tell me what you're thinking." Ryan struggled to find the right words. "It's like, if I'm being real with you, sometimes I feel like I'm just living in your shadow. You know? Like I'm not as good at this spy shit as you are. I'm scared that I'm gonna let everyone down, especially you." Sophie reached out her hand to hold on to Ryan's. "I'm scared too, babe. I love you so much it hurts, Rye. But sometimes I worry that no matter how hard I try, I'll never really understand you. That there will always be a part of you that's a mystery to me." With a pregnant pause, their soul-bearing words were echoing and ringing in their heads, mocking them. "Do you ever worry that this life, what we do, that it'll always come between us? That we'll never be able to put us first?" Sophie nodded. "Every damn day. I'm terrified that one day we'll have to choose between our love and the job, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to make that choice." Pulling closer, Ryan wrapped her arm around Sophie's waist. "I can't imagine my life without you. I've never needed anyone the way I need you. Never loved anyone the way I love you." Lifting her head, Sophie's eyes locked with her wife's. "Promise me something, Rye. Promise me that no matter what happens, no matter what choices we have to make, we'll always find our way back to each other." A relaxed calm gradually surrounded them, a soothing tranquility entering their very beings. Eyelids drooped as the emotional toll of their mind-bending experience finally caught up, and fatigue set in. No words were spoken as they settled onto the sand, bodies curving inward like yin and yang. Their clutched hands kept them grounded while trippy colors and scenes played out around them. Drifting off, their last conscious moments were all about each other, and they looked younger in the face with no worries. Time passed, the sun and moon chasing each other across the sky until a gentle touch awakened them. Dewey stood over them, her eyes holding a knowing look as if she could see the journey they had undertaken, even if they themselves could not remember. "Come," she helped them to their feet. "Let me take you back to your quarters." The trip back was a total mind fog, the wild ceremony and their trippy shared experience already slipping away like a faded dream. Ryan and Sophie leaned on each other for support, steps wobbly, their heads spinning as they tried to grip reality. I don't remember anything," Sophie whispered. "Do you?" Ryan shook her head, looking equally lost. "No, it's all a blank." They turned to Dewey, hoping for answers, but the mysterious woman merely smiled. Her eyes held secrets she chose not to share. She led them to their tent, ushering them inside with a gentle hand. "Rest now. The journey you have undertaken, even if not remembered, has left its mark. Sleep, and let the wisdom of your hearts guide you in the days to come." And just like that, she was out. They stayed put, trading bewildered. Well, that was something. Talk about a mind bender. Sophie pushed her hair away from her face. "Should we just get back at it tomorrow morning? I feel so tired all of a sudden." Ryan nodded, stifling a yawn. "Yeah, let's call it a night. We can try to piece it together in the morning when our heads are clearer." Damn, when did it get nighttime? Whatever had transpired under the influence of Dewey's potion, one thing was clear. They had only scratched the surface of the cult's mysteries, and the real work was just beginning. Scene 4. Sophie wandered the sand and was led to an area with unusual plant growth in a garden. How was this even possible, she thought to herself. She figured it had to be manufactured and man-made. Her trained eyes scanned for any suspicious moves. Suddenly, some shady movement caught her attention. She spotted a group of devotees decked out in hazmat suits in a secluded corner, moving with urgency, loading unmarked barrels onto a dusty truck. Her mind started piecing it together. The barrels, the hazmat gear, the covert operation. It pointed to the cult being involved with developing mind-control drugs. "Sophie, my dear, you seem troubled. Is there something on your mind?" Dewey's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Oh, no." Sophie quickly straightened up. "I was just admiring the weirdly placed garden. It's quite beautiful." "Yes, it is, but not nearly as beautiful as you, my dear. Or your wife, for that matter." "Thank you, Dewey. Ryan and I are very happy together." Sophie noticed that Dewey had rerouted her original route, and they were now walking in the opposite direction of where she saw the hazmat suits. Dewey took a step closer and lowered her voice to a private whisper. "I can see that, but happiness is fleeting, isn't it? True illumination, on the other hand, lasts forever." Sophie couldn't shake the allure of Dewey's rhetoric as if it spoke to a hidden yearning within her. At the same time, Dewey's intense gaze seemed to x-ray right through her defenses, putting all her buried insecurities and self-doubts on full display. I'm not sure what you mean." With a caring gesture, Dewey rested her hand on Sophie's shoulder, the contact sending a calming wave through her body. "My dear, I've seen the way you and Ryan interact. The love between you is strong, but there's also pain, isn't there? Unspoken fears and resentments that threaten to tear you apart. Dewey's words hit home. All the recent petty fights, miscommunications, and nonstop stress from their high-risk lifestyle flashed through her mind. For a split second, the idea of finally being woke, free from all the baggage, seemed like a sweet escape. Sensing Sophie's inner turmoil, the leader pressed on. I can help you. I can show you a path to true peace, a way to transcend the limitations of earthly love. All you have to do is open your heart and mind to the truth. Yet at that moment, images of Ryan hit her. That goofy smile, the way her eyes lit up when she was really laughing or enjoying herself, how good it felt to be in her arms. Their relationship was far from perfect, but it was authentic, and something worth putting in the work for. With a shake of her head, Sophie broke free from Dewey's spell. She took a small step back, creating distance between herself and the cult leader. I appreciate your concern, Dewey, but I assure you Ryan and I are quite content with our current path. For a split second, Dewey's smile slipped, and you could see the irritation flash across her face. But she quickly recovered, her calmness sliding back into place. Of course, my dear. I understand. But remember, the offer stands. Should you ever change your mind, my door is always open. With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Sophie shaken and unsure. Ryan sat cross-legged in the group meditation session, her eyes closed and her hands resting on her knees. The rhythmic chanting and deep breathing exercises were meant to promote inner peace, but she found her mind wandering, unable to fully immerse herself in this experience. Suddenly, a whispered conversation between two high-ranking cultists caught her attention. The cleansing ritual is almost upon us. Soon, the Great Awakening will purge the world of non-believers. The second cultist acknowledged the statement with a nod, replying in a hushed tone, Indeed, and at this very moment, the secret lab is creating the essential element that will unlock our path to the light. Ryan perked up at the mention of a hidden laboratory. She strained to hear more, but they had already moved on. Their conversation lost among the loud chanting. Sensing an opportunity to investigate further, she abruptly stood up, pretending to look uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I need to use the bathroom, she announced, her voice loud enough to draw attention away from her true intentions. Slipping away from the group, she made her way through the compound, scanning for any signs of the restricted area. Her lock-picking skills came in handy as she encountered a locked door. Beyond the door, Ryan discovered a hidden entrance to an underground laboratory. The crispy clean lab interior, with its shiny machines and bright white walls, felt worlds apart from the rough around the edges vibe of the compound above ground. Her eyes widened as she took in the evidence before her. Rows of beakers and vials containing a mysterious liquid, detailed plans for mind-controlled drug production, and documents outlining a plot to assassinate world leaders. She pulled out her camera, quickly photographing the incriminating evidence. Ryan tapped the QEC earpiece in her ear. Soph, come in. Silence. She frowned, scanning the room again. Something felt off. Pressing the earpiece again, she repeated, Sophie, are you there? Still nothing. The noise of someone coming made her ears perk up. She thought fast, slipping into a storage space just in time. Her back hugged the wall as she tried not to make a peep. Armed guards were on patrol, their boots hitting the ground with authority. They nearly exposed her hiding spot with bright beams from their flashlights. Ryan remained perfectly still and silently cursed Sophie's lack of response on the headpiece. She desperately needed her partner's support and guidance. After what felt like an eternity, the guards moved on, their footsteps receding into the distance. She released the breath she was holding, her shoulders dropping as she exhaled slowly. But that was short-lived. Moments later, she was cornered by another group of armed guards walking by. Ryan's mind raced, searching for a way out, but the cramped storage room offered no escape. Just as panic began to set in, Sophie's voice crackled through the QEC. "Ryan, what's your status?" Ryan knew it was a serious moment, but she had to throw sarcasm with her usual smart mouth, especially since she's been calling for her the last few minutes. "Oh, just playing hide and seek with some armed goons. Typical Tuesday." "Armed? Ryan, where are you? This isn't the time for jokes." "I'm not joking. I was in the meditation session where you left me, but I found something. I tried to reach you, but you were AWOL. So now I'm stuck in a closet." She could practically see Sophie rolling her eyes through the crackly QEC line. "Okay, I need you to focus and stay calm." "Soph, you're killing me here," Ryan groaned in a whisper. "I'm trying to stay calm, but it's kind of hard when I'm trapped in a tight space with a bunch of dudes playing pin the tail on the intruder outside. Damn it, Ryan. This isn't a game. I need you to take this seriously." Ryan took a deep breath and counted to 3 in her head. She couldn't go popping off with some slick comments right now, as tempting as it was. Sophie's radio silence and this high-stress op were really testing her patience. "I am taking it seriously, but I'm also trying not to lose my mind here. A little levity never hurt anyone." "Well, it might hurt you if you don't keep your voice down," Sophie said, her own volume rising slightly. Ryan clenched her jaw and swallowed, knowing that arguing would only make things worse. "Fine, I'll be quiet. Happy now?" "No, I'm not happy. I'm stuck out here while you're in danger, and I can't do a damn thing about it." The raw emotion in Sophie's hurried voice cut through Ryan's frustration. "Hey, I'm sorry. I know this isn't easy for you either. And Dewey's on my ass. She approached me earlier. She was making some inappropriate comments about our relationship and offering that enlightenment crap again. And I think she was hitting on me." "She what? She's got some fucking nerve flirting with a married woman. I swear, if that bitch tries anything." "Ryan, calm down. I handled it. I made it very clear I wasn't entertaining any of that." "I just find it hard to believe she'd back down so easily without a real show of force. Don't tell me you just waved her off. She's more cunning than that, and we can't afford any fuck-ups. You should have more faith in me. I'm not some damsel in distress. I can take care of myself." "Soph, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply—" The sound of receding footsteps cut her off. Ryan held her breath, listening intently. When the coast seemed clear, she let out a sigh of relief. "Looks like I'm in the clear. I'm gonna make a break for it." "Be safe." Sophie's voice switched from heated to worried. "I'll see you back at the quarters." Ryan couldn't resist one last crack as she prepared to leave her hiding spot. "Don't wait up, honey. I might stop for a nightcap with my new friends." "Oh my God. Just get back here in one piece. I mean it." "Yes, ma'am." She crept out of the storage room on high alert. Following the same path that led her there, Ryan finally appeared from the restricted area. She breathed out, shoulders finally relaxing as her girl came into view. They crashed into a tight hug, all the stress from this crazy ass-op evaporating in that moment. Being reunited felt like coming up for air. Ryan pulled back, patting around Sophie's face. Her eyes searched for any sign of distress. "You sure you're okay? If Dewey tried anything—" "I'm fine, Ryan. I promise. She caught me off guard, but I shut her down. Nothing to worry about. I think she's trying to get to us, and I was a convenient target. But we're solid." Feeling relieved, Ryan planted a soft kiss on Sophie's mouth, holding her tight. When they parted, her face turned serious. "Let's get back. I have to tell you what I uncovered." Sophie nodded, lacing their fingers together as they walked back to their tent. Scene 5. Ryan flicked through the photographs she had taken in the hidden laboratory. Okay, so we've got evidence of these fuckers producing some kind of mind-control drug and a bunch of sciencey-looking equipment that I'm pretty sure isn't for making banana bread. Damn, this is serious. They've got a full-blown operation going on down there. Sophie paused, a thought occurring to her. Hey, is it just me? Or does it feel like Black Bat's been sending us on a lot of drug-related missions lately? What, you mean like that snakebite stuff we dealt with in Colombia? Yeah, I've noticed that too. Maybe they know about our little garden project and think we're experts in the field. Oh, totally. Because a couple of pot plants qualify us to take on international drug conspiracies. Sophie then traced over one of the photos of a document. Look at this, Rye. It mentions something about sleeper agents and global targets. I don't like the sound of that. Shit. You think they're planning some kind of worldwide attack? It's starting to look that way. And with the kind of influence and resources Dewey seems to have, they could do a lot of damage. Examining each photo closely, they hunted for any tiny opening or flaw to take advantage of. Scene 6. Ryan and Sophie slid through the darkness, their sandals leaving faint prints on the grainy ground. The area was quiet, just the desert wind cutting through with a low whistle now and then. You ready for this? Ryan whispered, her hand resting on the hilt of her weapon. Let's just get it done. They approached the hidden entrance to the underground lab, the one Ryan had discovered during her previous incursion. With skilled efficiency, they disabled the security measures and stumbled inside. Once inside, they split up, each focusing on their assigned tasks. Ryan made a beeline for the computer systems, and across the room, Sophie worked quickly, planting explosives at strategic points as she kept a watchful eye on their surroundings. Hurry up, Ryan. We don't have all night, Sophie snapped with irritation. I'm working on it, all right. This isn't as easy as it looks. Well, work faster. We're on a tight schedule here. After a few tense moments, an ecstatic smile spread across Ryan's face. Got it. I'm downloading the files now. About time. I finished setting the charges 5 minutes ago. Well, excuse me, Miss Perfect, Ryan mumbled under her breath. Not all of us can be as impeccable and quick as you. It seemed as if their newly restored connection was becoming toxic by the second, a complete 180 from how they were bonding before the mission. It was like the desert scorcher fried their progress. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, forget it. Let's just focus on getting out of here. Their bickering was cut short by a sudden noise from the corridor outside, freezing them in their tracks. Shit, someone's coming. Sophie motioned for Ryan to stay put, then sneaked towards the door, her footsteps quiet. The guard never saw it coming. Quick as lightning, she had him in a chokehold, her arms firm around his throat. His struggles were brief and ineffective, but as she lowered him to the ground, she noticed his hand twitch towards his belt. She realized, eyes popping, that the guard's fingers brushed against a hidden button, and instantaneously a loud alarm went off. Fuck, Ryan yelled, yanking the data drive from the computer. We've been made. No shit, Sherlock, Sophie snapped, already moving towards the exit. This is why I told you to hurry up. They raced through the corridors as the cultists closed in. As they neared the final stretch, a group of robed men surfaced from a side passage, blocking their path. Sophie quickly assessed the situation, spotting a narrow ventilation shaft above them. There, she pointed. That's our way out. Give me a boost and I'll pull you up. But Ryan had other ideas. I got a better plan. She threw herself at the nearest guard, her fists looking like a young Mayweather. Ryan, Sophie screamed. What the hell are you doing? Stick to the plan. But Ryan was lost in the heat of battle. Her focus zeroed on the enemies in front of her. She was scrapping like there was no tomorrow, fearless in the face of the threat, locked in on creating a better exit route by any means. "What the fuck?" Sophie cursed colorfully, then raised her own weapon, providing cover fire as she tried to keep pace with her impulsive partner. Bullets flew everywhere as she tried to dodge them and keep Ryan protected. "Damn it, Ryan! Your hero antics are going to get us both killed. When are you going to learn to follow orders?" Seizing a momentary lull in the chaos, Sophie grabbed Ryan by the collar and dragged her behind a nearby wall, using it as cover from the cultists' gunfire. "Oh, so now you want to preach, Miss Perfect?" Ryan fired back, hastily slapping in a new mag with a scowl. "Always putting on airs like you don't ever bend the rules yourself. I know a thing or two now, too. At least I don't charge in like a raging bull and nearly blow the whole mission." "Yeah, well, at least I'm not an arrogant jerk who thinks she's better than everyone else. What's with you? Why are you acting like an asshole all of a sudden, Ryan?" "Me? What about you? You've been riding my ass since we woke up this morning." Their argument was interrupted by a hail of gunfire, forcing them to duck back behind cover. "Screw this," Ryan checked her ammo. "I'm not going to sit here and be target practice. We need to move." "For once, we agree on something," Sophie said coldly. "But we do this my way. Stick to the extraction point and try not to do anything else stupid. Inkat." As much as Ryan wanted to say something back, she had to admit Sophie had a point. Their petty squabbles could wait. Escaping this situation alive was the goal. Together they fought their way out as best as they could in the heat, their robes now turning into flimsy scraps of silk on their bodies. Sophie fumbled with her QEC device. Her fingers were wet with sweat and blood. "This is Agent Sophie Wilder," she raggedly panted, "requesting immediate extraction and backup. We have the evidence, but we're under heavy fire." Static crackled over the line, and then a voice responded, calm and assured. "Copy that, Agent Wilder. Extraction team is en route. ETA, 5 minutes." They hid behind a low stone wall, and the couple used this time to catch their breath. The sound of the approaching extraction team's helicopter blades was heard in the air, a promise of imminent rescue, thank God. Suddenly, a cold and mocking voice rang out across the desert landscape. "Leaving so soon? My children?" Dewey came about, sided by her most loyal followers. "And here I thought you were beginning to see the truth." Ryan and Sophie stood their ground, weapons pointed at the cult leader. "It's over, Dewey," Sophie yelled. "Your plans, your twisted ideology, it ends here." "You think you can stop what's coming?" Dewey laughed. "You with your fragile marriage and your misplaced faith in each other." She began to circle the couple. "I've seen the cracks in your relationship, the doubts and the mistrust. Your love is a weakness, a flaw that will be your undoing." A side-eye passed between Ryan and Sophie as Dewey's words cut deep. "Sophie, my dear, I noticed the tension between you and your wife. The way she disregards your authority, the way she impetuously charges into danger without considering your feelings. It must be so difficult to constantly worry about her, to feel like you're always cleaning up her mess. I've seen the way you look at her, the longing in your eyes when she's not paying attention, the frustration when she dismisses your concerns. You want a partner who understands you, who values your opinion. But Ryan, she'll never be the stable, reliable partner you crave." "That's not..." Sophie tried to protest, but Dewey now turned to Ryan. "My dear Ryan, I sense a great disturbance within you. Your spirit yearns for recognition, for acceptance. Yet you find yourself chained by the expectations of others, particularly those of your beloved Sophie. She sees you as a burden, a problem to be solved, rather than a partner to be cherished. She will forever keep you tethered to her own limitations, her own fears. But you, Ryan, you have the power to break free, to embrace your destiny and become the person you were always meant to be. Sophie will never understand the depths of your soul, the true essence of your being. You don't know shit about us, about our relationship. You think you can just waltz in here with your mind games and your bullshit insights and tear us apart? Think again, lady. And who's to say you haven't already succumbed to our methods? The mind is a malleable thing, so easily influenced by the right techniques. Can you truly trust your own thoughts, your own feelings? Dubious thoughts tried sneaking in, making them start second-guessing everything between them. You're both in denial. You refuse to see the truth. And just like that, Ryan's patience snapped like a twig. To hell with this mind fuck. She whipped out her pistol and aimed it square at Dewey's face. Shut your fucking mouth. Ryan, no, Sophie screamed. Ryan pulled the trigger, but then it went black. They woke up disoriented, laying in medical beds at the Black Bat headquarters in Gotham. Luke stood at the foot of their beds, his arms crossed with an unreadable expression. Well. You're finally awake. You two sure know how to make a mess of things, don't you? Sophie struggled to sit up, wincing at the pain that shot through her body. Luke, we got the evidence. The mission was a success, right? I don't know. From where I'm standing, it looks like you two nearly got yourselves killed because you couldn't keep your personal problems together. We did what we had to do. We adapted to the situation. Is that what you call going off script, Ryan? Ignoring orders and nearly compromising the entire operation? Because from where I'm standing, that looks a hell of a lot like insubordination. He leaned forward, gripping the footboard of Sophie's bed. Let me make this crystal clear for you two. When you're out there, your personal issues, your relationship drama, all of that takes a back seat. You have one job, and that's to complete the mission. Anything else is just a distraction. They knew he was right, knew that they had let their issues cloud their judgment in the field. Luke straightened his tie, looking between the two agents. The doctors say you're both stable. As soon as they clear you, I want you out of here. Go home, get your heads on straight. But know this. If you pull a stunt like that again, there will be consequences. Am I understood? Yes, sir, Sophie and Ryan mumbled together, looking down at the ground. Luke nodded shortly, then turned on his heel. The door swinging shut behind him with a definitive click. The room went dead quiet after Luke left. Ryan and Sophie were just sitting there, not saying a word or even looking at each other. They just zoned out, getting lost in the endless loop of self-doubt and regret playing on repeat in their minds. They had survived the mission and had secured the evidence they needed. They made it out alive. But at what cost? Their relationship, their trust in each other, felt more fragile than ever. Just when they thought they were back on track, back to trusting each other, back to being comfortable with one another, it all went to smoke again. Ryan stared at the ceiling. She felt like she was losing grip on everything, her job, her sense of self, and most terrifyingly, her marriage. Her mind drifted back to the confrontation with Dewey just before she pulled the trigger. The taunt, the mocking. How dare Dewey try to manipulate them like that, to plant seeds of doubt in her mind about the one person who meant everything to her? As much as she wanted to dismiss it all, a persistent thought kept resurfacing. Could Dewey have been right about any of that? How had they gotten here? When had their trust in one another gone? Ryan closed her eyes, a tear falling down her cheek. She couldn't help feeling like she was watching her life unwind before her eyes. The vision Ryan had of her and Sophie's life together felt like it was from another lifetime, fading more with every tick of the clock. Dewey's voice whispered in her mind once more. She sees you as a burden, a problem to be solved, rather than a partner to be cherished. No, she couldn't let Dewey's manipulation get to her. She loved and wanted her wife forever. And Sophie wanted the same. Right? Ryan shook her head, trying to banish the insidious thoughts. Of course Sophie loved me back. Why would I even question that? As she drifted off into an uneasy sleep, she chanced to glance over at Sophie, who lay silently beside her, almost like a stranger sharing a room. Sophie's face was a total blank in the hospital room's dim lighting, with fatigue and doubt written all over it. Ryan felt her heartache, desperate to reach out and close the growing rift. But she held herself back, simply grimacing as she adjusted herself and squeezed her eyes shut. In the silence of the room, broken only by the beeping of machines and the distant footsteps of black-backed nurses, Ryan and Sophie lay side by side, two hearts beating in uncertain rhythm.